All right, welcome. So today we're diving into something, well, something pretty fascinating and, let's be honest, a little out there. It's the system called carnal geometry, and it makes a pretty wild claim that your birth date is directly linked to your physical potency. I mean, just think about that for a second. Could the numbers from the day you were born actually have a say in the blueprint of your body? It's a huge question, and it's the one we're going to tackle in this explainer. And to do that, we're going to open up what's known as the Carnal Geometry dossier. So you and I, we're basically unsealing this classified file together, looking at the raw intelligence for the very first time. Let's see what's inside. Okay, first things first. Before we jump into all the juicy rankings and the readings, we got to understand the basic concept here. And it all boils down to a single number. That number is called your life path vibration. The idea, according to this dossier, is that you calculate this one little digit from your birthday, and it supposedly tunes your body to resonate more with either spirit, the mind, the intellect, or flesh, that raw physical power. So you're probably asking, okay, how do I find my number? It's actually really simple. You just take your full birth date, the month, the day, the full year, and you add up every single digit. If you get a two-digit number, just add those two together. You keep going until you get down to one single digit. Now, the only exceptions are 11, 22, and 33. If you get one of those, you stop. They're called master numbers, and they're special. Seriously, pause right now and figure yours out. The rest of this is going to be way more fun if you do. All right, you got your number? Good. Let's get into the dossier's first big category, the heavy hitters. These are the life paths that this source claims are just built for pure, unadulterated physical power. And first up is Life Path 8, which they call the boss. And right out of the gate, look at that rating. A massive 98 for the male. The dossier says they have this heavy energy and even suggests they are statistically the thickest. And for the female 8, it's all about power and control. A 95 rating, and they're described as Pompadour Masters, a term for, let's just say, exceptional pelvic muscle control. Now look at Life Path 5, the rock star. The male gets a 96, called a stamina king, who is basically built for acrobatics. But then you look at the female, a perfect 100, a perfect score. The dossier doesn't even call her the rock star. She's the siren. It talks about this electric responsiveness, a magnetic pull that's supposedly addictive. And it makes the very bold claim that she is, quote, the wettest. And to round out these powerhouses, we have Life Path 4, the builder. And here, the theme is all about structure and solidity. For the male, the dossier notes rock quality hardness, giving him a 92. The female 4, with an 85, is described as physically compact, which creates what the source calls elite friction. Okay, so we've seen the raw power. Now, we're going to shift gears a bit. We're moving from physical force to a different kind of potency. This next section in the dossier is all about the sensual and emotional lovers, where connection is everything. And here we have Life Path 6, the provider. The male skill, rated at an 80, is said to come from this deep desire to serve. The female 6, though, she gets a very high 94. She's called the mother, and is described as being the most comfortable fit, an enveloping warmth that feels like, and I'm quoting here, home. Life Path 2, the peacemaker, is all about sensitivity. So the dossier gives the male a 65, and notes that while he might be average in size, his real mastery is in his rhythm. But the female 2? She scores a huge 92. The file describes her as a velvet glove, someone whose physical sensations are directly amplified by her emotional state. And then there's the playful Life Path 3, the performer. The male is described as being showy, but the dossier has a warning: low impulse control. It even labels him a potential 2-minute man. The female 3 gets an 88, with a big focus on playfulness and the throat chakra, which suggests a particular talent with her mouth. Okay, this next group, this is where things get really interesting. The dossier calls them the mental wildcards. These are the unpredictable numbers where the mind and spirit play a huge, sometimes mysterious role in the physical experience. For Life Path 1, the alpha, it is all about ego. The source says the male's drive, his need for conquest, is what makes him perform with aggression, and that earns him an 85. The female one is just as dominant and is described as someone who uses her anatomy to take exactly what she wants. Now, Life Path 7, the mystic, is the perfect example of a wild card. The dossier calls the male a gamble. He could either be a silent assassin, meaning surprisingly well endowed, or he could be totally detached and in his own head. And for the female 7, the file says it's non-negotiable. If there's no mental stimulation, she stays cold and is very difficult to arouse. And finally, in this group, we have Life Path 9, the humanitarian. For this number, it's less about the raw physical act itself and way more about what the dossier calls soul merging. They're described as being universally accommodating, focused on an almost tantric experience of release. And now, we've arrived at the final, and according to this dossier, the most potent category of them all, the master numbers. These are described as carrying a high-voltage energy that just puts them in a league of their own. First up, Life Path 11, the electric wire. The dossier describes this palpable nervous energy. It says the male is literally vibrating with nerve energy, and the female, with a crazy high rating of 96, can supposedly deliver electric shocks, leaving her partner feeling physically buzzed afterward. And then we have 22, the master builder. This is the number of pure physical manifestation. And just look at these scores. A 99 for the male, who's called the king, with potent horse energy. The female is the empress at 97 and is described as simply the total package, combining the powerful grip of a 4 with the heightened sensitivity of a 2. And finally, master number 33, the master teacher. The male is described as having a gentle giant energy, so big but tender. But the female 33 gets an incredible 99 rating. The dossier calls her anatomy the ultimate healing womb and claims it's so potent that men feel cured by the experience. So, after all that data, from the heavy hitters to the high-voltage masters, what's the bottom line? What's the dossier's final official verdict? Well, it wraps everything up with a definitive ranking. And here it is, the final summary. For the top males, ranked by size and potency, the dossier puts the Life Path 22 heavyweight at number 1. He's followed by the 5 and the 8. And for females, based on grip and magnetism, that number 1 spot goes to the Life Path 5 Siren, followed very closely by the 33 and the 8. So there you have it, the complete breakdown straight from the Carnal Geometry dossier. It's a really fascinating, if unconventional way of looking at ourselves. And it leaves us with that one ultimate question. Is this some kind of destiny written in our numbers? Or is it all just a very powerful story we tell ourselves? I guess that's for you to decide.